you will, in terms of job seeking. Number one, Good Morning America had a whole thing on it that October, November is the biggest time to find careers and find jobs. And we're really in a thing where there's so many jobs out there on every level. So it's great news for all of you. And one of the things that I find is that, you know, it used to be our GPAs, our SAT scores, like all these score things were so important to an employer, whatever. I'm here to say, and I can be shocking, I don't know, whatever, but you know, that no longer matters. What matters, and we've kind of talked about it today, is value addedness. And what, does anybody know what I mean when I say value addedness? Okay. Value addedness is, again, finding out who you are and what you can bring to the table of somebody else. It could be that, you know, when you write your resume, again, you know, when we talk about resumes and cover letter, resumes are not like, from this time to this time I did this. It's about telling your story in each of those kinds of things that you've done and how it's relevant to the company. And by doing that, you're gonna find that they're gonna go, wow, you did that? You created a club for that? Here's a perfect example, and it's a little out of the music industry, but it was somebody in accounting and he had Tourette's. And I'm telling this story because it's really universal. And he had Tourette's and he was a little worried about how he was gonna come across to a potential employer. And I said, but he was a tennis player. And I said, why don't you start a club at your college called Account for Something? Because all companies today, and Ro was saying that she was doing something on mental health, why don't you start a club called Account for Something and get your tennis team to come around and go to all the local accounting and banking things and raise money for Tourette's. And he raised like $1,500. He wanted to be in the top 4 companies. He got offers from all 4 companies. What was the one thing that they all wanted him to do? Was to bring in Account for Something in their company. It was the one thing. The guy never thought of this. He's going for his master's degree. He's this and he's that. They didn't give a crap, to be honest with you. I mean, they probably did in some ways. But it was just like, wow, you did this at your college? We want this in our company. And I bet there's every one of you in this room today who has an idea, who has a thought, who wants to be, don't wait for a company to hire you to do it. Do it today and bring it to the company.
I was just going to add, I think what you're hearing is what really makes networking click, what really makes the difference when it comes to all the people who are trying to get whomever to pay attention is differentiation, which is in some way having you stand out relative to, you know, your peers at that time. And I think we're all pointing out very important things. And, you know, let's say you're at the company and you're trying to network broader within, like maybe you work in a department but you don't know everybody around. And some of the biggest music companies, there's a lot of departments, there's a lot of divisions, and it becomes very difficult to think, oh, how am I going to navigate my way through? And the best way to do it is to be resourceful, to be of value, you know, more than you can. And obviously, you don't want to get fired by not doing the job you were hired for. But there still are times when you can just, you know, put in that extra thing that makes somebody go, wow, that kid really stepped up. He really showed that he could be, you know, a lot more than he is currently. And that's really, it's not necessarily like you just did the job that you're going to next be offered. It's just that you showed that you have the potential. And I really don't think it has to be something that is necessarily a direct line between I really want to get into publicity and yet I'm over here doing something in promotion or something and I'm worried that I'm never going to get a chance. There's still a way you can stand out relative to whomever. And by being in a position where you can say, oh, you guys need somebody to stay late? I can do that. Or, you know, oh, at the, you know, that night when the band is playing, I'll do something at the door, or, you know, I'll make sure we help. You know, and I just feel like that really, we're all really touching on one big issue, which is how to really prove to everybody that, you know, you're really worth more, sorry to say, than the other guys.
That's a great time to shine. It really is a time in our time that there's allowing for you guys to shine and bring that shine forward. People want it, they need it, and they value it.
We have a couple minutes left, so I just want to do one more question for all 3 of you. If you could just go down the line. We all have obviously successes, and then we all have what I call learning opportunities, because I don't think anything's a failure. There's always a learning opportunity out of everything we do. So just what is the one lesson that you've learned throughout your career that has kind of helped you to evolve? And again, there's some learning opportunities for all of us, so just take us through that real quick, each of you.
I have a horrible one, but it's a great lesson of, sorry about this French thing, but don't fuck up. And this is a really huge lesson, but I was dealing with somebody to clear a sample. The guy who controlled the sample for the song was across the country, and he was not user-friendly, if you know what I'm saying, in any way. And he had a real issue with the attorney for the artist that we worked with. He hated the guy. So where normally an attorney might be the person who